Good morning, and let me welcome you to Ford Field as we look forward to the beginning of the 2016 football season, which will mark the 70th edition of MACtion. And to our bowl partners, our television partners, our corporate partners, and special guests, we thank you for joining us today, and more importantly, for collaborating with our member institutions to facilitate exceptional opportunities for our students and our fans. I want to welcome three new head coaches: Mike New of Ball State University, Mike Jinks, Bowling Green State University, and even though he is 1-0, we still consider this to be the rookie season for Jason Candle from the University of Toledo. Also want to welcome three new directors of athletics who are making their football media day debut: Larry Williams of the University of Akron, Bob Moosberger at Bowling Green State University, and Alan Green, the University at Buffalo. Let me also extend my congratulations to Herb Duramity, the winningest football coach in Mid-American Conference history, the former coach and director of athletics at Central Michigan University, on his appointment to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. I cannot think of anyone better prepared to serve or be part of selecting the participants of the College Football Playoff. Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, author, and baseball enthusiast George Will wrote, "Sports serves society by providing vivid examples of excellence." Let me highlight some examples of excellence from the year just concluded. 20 Mid-American Conference teams earned multi-year academic progress rates that put them in the top 10% of the teams in their respective sports. That represents an increase of 3 teams from the previous year. 6 of 7 field hockey teams earned Division I National Academic Squad honors, requiring a cumulative grade point average of 3.0 or better. 25 football students earned National Football Foundation Hampshire Society honors, requiring a cumulative grade point average of 3.2 or better for their collegiate careers. All 7 men's swimming teams and 7 women's swimming teams earned Scholar All-American Team honors. And then a little over a week ago, it was announced that 14 Kent State women's gymnastics students earned Scholastic All-American honors and had a team cumulative GPA of 3.64, 8th highest in the country. Western Michigan's gymnastics team also had 14 academic All-Americans and a 3.72 GPA, 5th highest in the country. 7 Mid-American Conference football teams earned bowl invitations, and all 7 teams had 7 or more wins, tying a record for the most wins, most bowl teams in conference history, previously established in 2012. Akron and Western Michigan earned their first ever bowl victories, and Toledo knocked off number 24 Temple in the highest profile matchup of group of 5 teams. Northern Illinois earned its 6th consecutive division title or share of a division title. This ties an FBS record for consecutive division titles. This was achieved with 3 different head coaches and is a remarkable testament to the consistency and excellence of the students and coaches at Northern Illinois. Akron advanced to the Men's Soccer College Cup, and the Zips' Tyler Sanda was named recipient of the NCAA Elite 90 Award, given to the student with the highest cumulative GPA at each NCAA championship. Miami University's Pei Lin earned runner-up honors in the 3-meter dive at the NCAA championships for the 2nd consecutive year, and she was also 3rd in the 1-meter dive. Let me say that again, half of the conference's wrestlers advanced to the NCAA championships, most ever in conference history, and 3rd highest total for any conference last season. 10 wrestlers from 6 institutions earned All-America honors, and one won a national championship. Eastern Michigan ranked 24th in women's gymnastics, while Kent State's women's golf team finished the season ranked 9th nationally. Kent State earned a top 30 ranking in baseball, and the Golden Flashes pitcher Eric Laura was named National Player of the Year. Akron's Clayton Murphy won the 800-meter run at both the NCAA indoor and outdoor championships, and he will be one of 11 Mid-American Conference students or alums competing at the upcoming Summer Olympic Games. In January, Northern Illinois University was awarded the NCAA and Minority Opportunities Athletic Association's Inclusion and Diversity Award. This award is a testament to the effort and attention paid to inclusion and diversity by the institution under the leadership of President Doug Baker and Director of Athletics Sean Frazier. Football Coordinator of Officials Bill Carolla will be available today, and I would encourage you to visit with him on officiating points of emphasis for the coming year. There are two officiating items I would like to highlight. First, the NCAA has approved an experimental rule that permits collaborative replay. This allows for communication between the in-stadium replay official and other replay officials or rules experts, even from a remote location. The Mid-American Conference will participate in this experimental rule, and at select games will employ a computer tablet on the sideline. When the replay is under review, this will permit the referee to view images that are being seen by the replay official, and he will be able to provide feedback on the situation. The final decision will continue to rest with the replay official. Additionally, Mid-American Conference football officials will begin utilizing on-field communication devices. This is to help eliminate errors in game administration, improve communications with coaches by delivering penalty information more quickly to head coaches, and should speed up penalty enforcement. Last year, we rolled out a messaging program that boldly proclaimed, "Action speaks louder than words." The highlights I just reviewed illustrate this philosophy. This year, we will highlight and focus on the effort it takes to be a Mid-American Conference student participating in intercollegiate athletics, the hunger that drives elite students in the classroom and on the field of competition. Respect the grind is about the day in, day out hard work and dedication necessary to excel. In this conference, the principles of respect and hustle have been unwavering for 7 decades, and it continues to pay off. In the Mid-American Conference, we continue to respect the grind. Time demands, or more accurately, the time obligations for students who participate in athletics has been an ongoing topic. Last spring, our Student Athlete Advisory Committee drafted a white paper on this matter and engaged in in-depth discussions with the conference's governance groups. Out of 32 Division I conferences, this was the only conference Student Athlete Advisory Committee to make the effort to formalize their position by drafting a white paper, and additionally submitting it to the NCAA Board of Directors, NCAA Council, as well as the governance groups of the Mid-American Conference. As a result of their efforts, the Mid-American Conference Council of Directors of Athletics is considering a series of proposals developed by that group and put forth by our students. I expect a final decision by mid-August on these proposals. The proposals include considering establishing a 2-week time-off period from required athletics activity at the conclusion of the season, mandating that students that are out of season have a week off with no athletics obligations at the beginning of each semester, prohibiting academic obligations between away-from-home travel and practice for at least 8 hours following their return to campus, and requiring practice schedules to be shared in advance with student athletes weekly. While time demands is an issue that falls under the legislative purview of the autonomous conferences, the member institutions of the Mid-American Conference see no need to wait for January and action to be taken by the autonomous conferences. We will do very shortly what is right for our student athletes. I want to thank Kelsey White, a rising senior and current chair, at Miami University, and current chair of our conference Student Athlete Advisory Committee, for being with our directors of athletics today and assisting in that discussion. We look forward to further work on this area that should include sport-specific regulations to account for the different needs of students participating in different sports. In February, the Mid-American Conference hosted its inaugural Mental Health Summit, a first-of-its-kind event with tremendous encouragement and support from the NCAA's Sports Sciences Institute. This included participation by institutional student affairs administrators, athletics administrators, medical personnel, faculty, coaches, and students who participate in athletics. More than 150 in all participated. Later this academic year, we will hold our second Mental Health Summit, and our institutional student-athlete advisory committees will sponsor their third annual Mental Health Awareness Week, where we continue to emphasize the need for ongoing education and support efforts, and that it is okay to not be okay. Mental health is an area of student well-being that will remain a high priority for our member institutions. Since last fall, the Diversity and Inclusion Working Group I formed at this time last year has been hard at work and has held numerous meetings. The working group is made up of a cross-section of institutional and athletics administrators and faculty from across our member institutions. Among the actions taken by this group, and earlier today affirmed by our Council of Directors of Athletics, include the development of a statement that reads in part, "As a core value, the Mid-American Conference believes in and is committed to diversity, inclusion, and gender equity among its student athletes, coaches, staff, and administrators. We seek to establish and maintain an inclusive culture that fosters equitable participation for student athletes and career opportunities for coaches and administrators from diverse backgrounds. Diversity and inclusion improve the learning environment for all student athletes and enhance excellence within the conference." The working group has identified a variety of layers or levels that must be accounted for when addressing the issues of diversity and inclusion. And those include, 1, education. In order to promote diversity and inclusion in hiring and to build a diverse pool of candidates, educational programming must exist to educate those looking to enter the profession of collegiate athletics and educate those that are in a position to hire on best practices in developing a diverse pool of applicants. 2, entry opportunities. In order to promote diversity and inclusion in hiring, entry-level opportunities must exist to support a pool of diverse candidates. And 3, advancement opportunities. In order to promote diversity and inclusion in hiring, advancement opportunities must exist to support a diverse pool of candidates. The working group has developed a series of initiatives aimed at addressing the 3 layers previously identified. These include a biannual diversity and inclusion summit focused on career opportunities, training, and best practices. Development of a conference diversity and inclusion website or web page intended to serve as a resource for our membership. The development of an internship program at our member institutions and the conference office to assist in the development of the next generation of administrators and coaches, and a mentoring program to assist in the development of young coaches and administrators. This does not mark the conclusion of the efforts by the working group or the membership. All will continue in their efforts, and this will remain a key focus. Dr. Martin Luther King said, quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," unquote. Our membership will work diligently in continuing to cultivate an environment that fosters diversity and inclusion among our students, coaches, and administrators. The football recruiting calendar and summer camps, institutional and satellite, are receiving a great deal of review by the NCAA governance structure, coaches groups, and media. Interestingly, satellite camps are not a new phenomena, but due to some rather highly publicized camps, more attention and scrutiny, some of it well-deserved, is being given to these topics. The entire topic of football recruiting really hinges on whether or not to have an early signing period and where that signing period will fall. 1 year ago, the Collegiate Commissioners Association had a working group that recommended that a new football early signing period be held in December in conjunction with the December junior college signing period. The CCA decided to withhold making a decision until a more comprehensive review of football recruiting could occur. We know that prospects are making commitments early, many before the beginning of the senior season and almost all before the conclusion of their senior season. In many cases, they are making these decisions without having had the opportunity to make an official visit. We need to rethink summer camps and especially satellite camps or camps that are held off a university campus. I am an advocate for reducing the time frame in which satellite camps can be held. I would suggest a 15-day window. I would suggest also that only coaches that have recruiting responsibility and graduate assistants take part in working at satellite camps, and that a satellite camp must be held on the grounds of another four-year college institution. You should not be permitted to go to a high school, academy, or some other third party as a location to hold such camps. Finally, I believe the participation by our coaches at satellite camps should count as days of evaluation under the recruiting calendar. I am also an advocate for permitting official visits by football students following the conclusion of their junior year in high school instead of having to wait until the fall of their senior year. This is much more in line with the typical high school student who will make campus visits the summer before their senior year. And because prospects are making decisions earlier and because football recruiting is national in scope, let's provide our prospects with the opportunity to visit where they want during the summer. I am a proponent of an early signing period, and our coaches are proponents of an early signing period. And while there is no perfect early signing date, I am confident we can find a date and adjust the recruiting calendar to provide a more positive and productive recruiting experience for the prospects, provide coaches with a better work-life balance, and help minimize third-party influences. The television coverage of the Mid-American Conference has never been greater in terms of quality or national exposure. ESPN has been a terrific partner and has worked diligently with us in sub-licensing content to our partners such as the American Sports Networks, BCSN, Time Warner Cable Sports Network, and of course nationally with CBS Sports Network. CBS Sports Network's coverage in its inaugural year was outstanding in terms of content and quality, and the number of events that carrier or that network will carry will almost double this year, nationally televising 12 football games and 12 regular season basketball games, in addition to 3 postseason basketball games, the men's basketball tournament semifinals and the women's basketball finals, marking the first time we have secured a national television home for those events. I should also note that any games on CBS Sports Network will also be available online via a digital simulcast on cbssports.com, just as all of our other ESPN events and other sub-licensed events are available on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app. I want to thank and commend ESPN and CBS Sports Network for being responsive to our membership and our fans. For a number of years, we have discussed a desire to get away from the 8 p.m. window for the November midweek games. This year, more than 2/3 of the November midweek games will begin no later than 7:30, many at 7, 6:30, or 6 p.m. We greatly appreciate their willingness to work with us on this issue. And as I get ready to conclude, I would like to reflect on the past months that have unfolded with moments of tragedy and moments of triumph. And what has come to mind to me is the timeless and enduring paragraph from Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. Dickens wrote, and I am going to truncate just a little bit, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. in what must be the most famous opening lines in English literature, Dickens captures the contrast between good and evil, rich and poor, love and hate. These lines could have been written today. The tragic events in Baton Rouge, Orlando, Dallas, Nice, Munich, earlier last week in Fort Myers, in France, in Japan, and regretfully, that list could go on. Now contrast that with the incredible triumph from just 20 days ago when the Juno spacecraft entered orbit around the planet Jupiter after traveling 1.7 billion miles over 5 years and arriving within 1 second of its scheduled arrival. There is much we need to address in the world today: violence, racism, sexism, and more. Last year I went around to all of our campuses and visited with each student-athlete advisory committee. And I came away impressed by the passion and intensity and quality of the men and women I met. Among the things we discussed was standing up for what was right, opposing violence and sexual assault, opposing discrimination, and being leaders. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." And he was correct. Today's students and students who participate in athletics will make their mark, be it on the field, in the laboratory, or in the world of business or medicine or education or society in general. Sport is one of the places that throughout the years has provided a site where people of different genders and races and creeds and orientation can come together in a common cause, and in so doing break down so many walls. Nike founder Phil Knight, in his recent autobiography, wrote, "When sports are at their best, the spirit of the fan merges with the spirit of the athlete, and in that convergence, in that transference, is the oneness that mystics talk about." That is a very appropriate role for intercollegiate athletics in today's world. Kofi Annan, the 7th Secretary General of the United Nations, said, "Sport has the power to change the world. Sport brings together, no matter what their origin, background, religious beliefs, or economic status. We must use the power of sport as an agent of social change." And so that is my challenge to our students and our athletics programs. Let's use education and athletics as a source for positive social change. And I challenge our students who are participating in intercollegiate athletics to live up to the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "We must become the change we wish to see in the world." Examples of that include our student athletes making a stand for better awareness and understanding of mental health issues and helping to educate us that it is okay to not be okay. Or perhaps it's the Mid-American Conference being the first conference to have enacted a policy that governs transgendered students participating in intercollegiate athletics. Or maybe it's represented by the action taken recently by the NBA with regards to its All-Star game. Sport can change the world, and we will do it one student, one team, one institution, and one conference at a time. I hope you have a productive day today, and I imagine you're ready to spend time with the real stars of today, that being the students and the coaches who are here to visit with you. Thank you for joining us, and I'll turn it back to Ken and take some questions.
We have a few minutes for some questions, so again, raise your hands. We'll get the microphones over to you, so please state your name and affiliation before the question as well.
Elton Alexander, Plain Dealer. I got two questions on that. The training with the replay.
Yes.
With the
collaborative replay.
The collaborative. Thank you. Is there going to be a time limit on all of that?
That's in part why it's an experimental rule, because the idea is not to lengthen the length of times on replays, nor is it to lengthen the time of games. The average time, and I don't know it off the top of my head, in the Mid-American Conference is below the national average. I expect us to remain there, but that will be one of the points of consideration. There are 3 other conferences. Well, the Big Ten will do a similar experiment with the tablets. 3 conferences are using an off-site replay hub, where they will have a group of replay officials that can be in communication with the on-site replay official. It will be interesting to see what this means in terms of time, in terms of accuracy, et cetera.
To back that up, you just mentioned Big Ten. Is the consortium the same, or is it a different consortium
Yes,
this year?
consortium is the same.
So that's MAC, Big Ten, and
Missouri Valley.
Missouri Valley. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Mark Gahn, Buffalo News. Just the MAC, the Student Advisory Committee's recommendations. You said the MAC Council of Directors of Athletics will consider the proposals. Could you, when is that going to happen? And it sounds like you were saying that you're expecting the most important of these proposals to be approved.
Well, they're under consideration. We had lengthy discussion today. We were scheduling a teleconference for mid-August, at which time I expect some action to be taken.
To be put in effect this fall?
Yes.
Perry Farrell, Detroit Free Press. You talked about the conference not in favor of satellite camps. What is, or being on a college campus, is that the consensus of the league?
Yeah, there's a concern, I think there's a concern nationally about the third-party influences that are coming into play when we take these events off campus. Who are we paying to rent the facility and things like that? And so we need to address that. One suggestion is make sure it's on another college campus. There may be other alternatives to that, but that perhaps is one way to address that. We are in favor of retaining satellite camps, but there need to be some walls built around it in terms of length of days you can have it, number of times you're out, things like that, matching that up with the legal requirements, et cetera.
Commissioner John Wagner, Toledo Blade. You mentioned the early signing period. Can you give us a sense of where that process stands? I mean, is that close to coming to completion?
Yeah. It falls under the Football Oversight Committee of the NCAA. They have a working group of which I am members of both. That group is chewing on the issue right now. The working group, in fact, has an in-person meeting tomorrow. Ultimately, some recommendation will come up through the working group to the Oversight Committee, and then anything that approves will go back through the council. I'd like to think we could get something in place for next year. However, I can't promise that timeline will be adhered to.
We're going to continue with our program and the questions and answers session right now, but we will have Commissioner Steinbrecher